Welcome all of you again, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, based on where you are dialing in from. Today's webinar is about benefit realization management. Now, this is much talked about topic in the portfolio program or the project management world, but this is, I would say, there has been work done on this topic since last 2 or 2.5 decades, so it's fairly new. And the recent survey from the Project Management Institute showed that only about 1 of 5 organizations, which means about 20% of the organizations, have a matured level of benefit realization implemented in the organization, which means that we have a long way to go, both in terms of the penetration and the institutionalization of the benefit realization management discipline, but also in terms of developing a more matured and a standard framework. A lot of people have done work in this area, as I mentioned, since last couple of decades, but we still do not have a globally accepted standard framework. There are various frameworks available around benefit realization management, but we don't have a globally accepted standard framework. So what we are going to do in today's webinar is we will walk you through the concepts of benefit realization management model. We will also discuss one of the best practices model in detail. Then we are going to discuss about how the project management discipline fits in the whole framework of benefit realization management. What it is that the project manager can do more than what he or she is doing today in order to contribute towards the benefit realization management in the organization. And then we will also briefly look at the various models that are relevant today in the organization, the different kind of approaches that the organization have towards the benefit realization management. Now, if you see the last line here, it's from Duncan Hauge. He has done good work on this topic. And he mentioned projects don't end with the technical delivery and the closure reports. There is much more to what the project can contribute to the organization. Now, benefit realization management itself can be at a portfolio level, at a program level, or at a project level. However, for the sake of simplicity and consistency, I will refer to projects. You can sometimes also relate to a portfolio or to a program. So throughout the webinar, I will try to refer it as a project until necessary to mention portfolio or program. So before that, I would want to have certain quick polls. And you will have to select the right answer, whichever is applicable. These are quick polls, so let's not take a lot of time. I would say less than a minute per poll. Good. So based on the input that I have received so far, we have almost close to 70% of the audience who are in the role of project managers, around 25% in the role of team lead, which is quite good for me to have, because then you will be able to relate more to the discussions that we are going to have for the webinar. There's another poll, very quick one, yes or no. Good, I'm going to close the poll now, and the answer is that most of you, at least 67% of you, do agree that the project is successful if it's delivered within time, schedule, within schedule, cost, and the budget. And this is precisely the reason we have this webinar, so that we change this perception of a project manager on what exactly or what actually contributes to the success of the project. It's not just the triple constraints that we talk about and the traditional way of looking at the project success. And the last poll before we start our webinar. Okay, I'm closing this poll, and the answer is almost 68% of you have not participated, around 32% 2% of you have. Let's see if then it makes sense for you to relate to what you have been doing in the benefit realization management activity within your individual organization. So today, the agenda introduction, which we already had on what the BRM, benefit realization management, I will call it as a BRM going forward. Then we have a topic around how do you categorize the benefits that you identify within the organization. The whole ecosystem for the BRM, what is the role of project manager, and then we will have BRM models. So different types of BRM models that we have today in the industry. Now, benefit is all of us know this term. I mean, most of us have read the dictionary definition as well. But in context of the BRM, I like a couple of definitions which you see here on your screen. Benefit from Gerald Bradley is an outcome which is perceived as a positive outcome by the stakeholder. So there is an element of perception. And when there is an element of perception, what does it mean? That you probably will not be able to demonstrate or measure every single benefit that is achieved. And Jon Thorpe, he has done quite a good work in this area. There is a book also that he has written on the book titled The Information Paradox, Realizing Business Benefits of Information Technology. So he says the outcome whose nature and value are considered as something which is going to have an advantage to the organization. So as you see here in both the definition, you will see that the benefits is not restricted or limited to a project or a program or a portfolio. It is organization-wide concept. Now, the thumb rule for the benefit realization is that it should ideally and most of the time should be owned by the stakeholder or a group of stakeholders who are expecting value. So the ultimate ownership should be with the stakeholders who are expecting value from the given investment. Throughout the benefit life cycle, you might have individual owners for the given phases, but the ultimate ownership of realizing the benefit has to be within the group or with the individual who is expecting certain value out of it. Okay. Now, a lot of us, we see benefit only as a financial gain, which is not true. Well, it's agreed that most of the benefit do result in a financial gain, which can be reflected in the organization's balance sheet. But are all benefits only for financial gain? No, that's not true. To understand this concept better, let's look at the onion here. Now, every single project or the program that we initiate within the organization will result in certain change. The change can be big or small, but it will result in certain change. And the outcome of the change could be either positive or negative. Well, yes, we all agree that we want the outcome to be always positive. We spend money on the initiatives so that we get certain positive outcome. But sometimes you also have negative outcome. Now, considering that we have a positive outcome, which we call it as a benefit. Now, the benefit can be classified as financial or non-financial. So when we say financial impact, then the financial impact, if it's a benefit, is a positive financial impact. If it is a disbenefit, yes, we also have a disbenefit term, then it's a negative financial impact. So if you look at the circle here, the financial impact, this is just part of the benefit. So the area which is not financial impact, we still have certain benefits, but we are not able to directly relate or measure such benefits in dollar value. Okay, and before we go into the BRM framework model, I wanted to show a very classic example here. It also add an element of humor to it. Now, there was a project for expansion and modernization of a toll booth in China. These are the benefits. These are not officially reported benefit, but these are the potential benefit that the toll booth expansion project could have. Now, the benefits that I have marked in blue are the benefits where you can have a direct relation to the financial gain or savings. So if you have less accounting effort, it will mean less hours spent, less workforce, you mean less money spent. However, there are other benefits like less pollution, less traffic, cashless transactions, happy customers. Those are the benefits where you cannot really tag a financial figure to it, but those are still benefits. So the project was implemented, everything went fine, people were happy, but come holiday season, the whole the concept of the project to have a happy customer, less pollution, less traffic failed. And you see the picture here. I mean, this is the live picture, this is the real picture taken in that toll booth plaza. And you see this holiday season, you have cars piled up. There are like thousands of cars piled up. And what really went wrong? Let me show you a video. I'm not sure how the screen will look in real time, but let's try. This is not a movie clip. This is from the real traffic jam that happened during the Chinese New Year. So look at the video here. You see cars piled up, not just before the toll booth or toll plaza. It's also after that you have the cars been piled up. So what really went wrong here? You had 26-lane toll booth implemented. Things were going fine, but the road connecting to the highway, and the highway was just 4 lanes. So you have 26 lanes for the toll booth, and then you see here, this is the bottleneck. This is the bottleneck. And when we are talking about the disbenefit, this is one of the example here. So even though you have initiated the project to have a certain positive outcome, if a thorough holistic analysis is not done of how the impact of your deliverables of the project or program will be, it could result into disbenefit to the organization. So this was just an example that I wanted to give, and then let's move to, hold on, it's stuck here. So yeah. So let's talk about how do you classify, how do you categorize the benefits. The classification or the categorization of the benefit is essential for an organization because they want to prioritize what kind of a benefit they should realize in the time frame. The most common approach that we have for the benefit classification is whether you can measure the benefits or they are non-tangible. So if the benefits are tangible, the further subcategorization for tangible, or we also refer to as hard benefits, is if there are definite benefits resulting out of the project or the benefits are expected. Now let's take an example that you have a project initiated to simplify the loan approval process in the bank. And you are 100% sure that once the project is implemented, you will make the loan approval process leaner by reduction of 2 steps. Now this is a definite benefit that your project is going to achieve. Let's take another example that the organization has initiated a project for implementing a state-of-the-art ERP sales system. Now, at the end of the project, when the deliverables are absorbed in the organization, you expect that your sales will increase, but you do not know by how much percentage from the current baseline, because your sales just doesn't depend on the ERP system, but it also depends upon how your sales workforce is going to perform over the coming years, how the competition is going to challenge your organization in the coming years. So however, you are certain that there will be some improvement. So these are the benefits that are expected, and you can still measure those benefits. Then now let's look at the soft benefits or the non-tangible benefits. Now, when I say we cannot measure those benefits, then how do you demonstrate those? Well, there are certain ways to demonstrate. When I say we cannot measure, which it means that there is no scientific way of measuring it, but you can still create a subjective scale from 1 to 10 and then measure or baseline before the project initiates on where you are, and then at the end of the project use the same scale and measure the gain that you have achieved. So another example, organization is implementing a new HR system to improvise the efficiency in the payroll and to have a better employee satisfaction. Now, when you measure the current employee satisfaction, you do not have a scientific tool. You'll have a subjective tool. You'll define from scale 1 to 10 what each of those numbers mean. And then it's up to employees' subjectivity or employees' perception that they will rate their current satisfaction level. And the same perception, same subjectivity you will use to rate the employee satisfaction level at the end of the program. So that's an example of the non-tangible benefit. Now, the advice that I always give to the project manager is that you should always have as many tangible benefits as possible in your project's business case, because it's easy for you to measure, it's easy for you to demonstrate. If you have a lot of subjectivity, it results into misunderstanding and misinterpretation. The other way of classifying the benefits is whether they are short-term, medium, or long-term. So based on which time frame you can realize those benefits, the management can prioritize and decide on how soon the investment is required. There is another very popular and very useful tool of a benefit classification. We also call it as a sigma grid or a Cranfield grid. For those who know Boston metrics, this is an adoption of the Boston metrics. And this metrics uses the value the benefit will bring to the organization with regards to the complexity and with regards to the alignment to the strategic vision of the organization. So you see 4 quadrants here. One is the strategic. These are the benefits which will support the strategic vision of the organization. The speculative ones fall into a category which is high risk, high growth. Those are the ones which will create more disruption in the way organization is working, either in terms of the working style or in terms of the way organization is doing business today. Then there are certain key operationals. The one which we discussed earlier with regards to simplifying the loan approval process. So those are operational gains, which are short to medium term, and those are quick wins. And then there are support, nice to have, non-critical. So nice to have could be improvisation of the workspace, better cafeteria facilities, so on and so forth. Again, let's take an example here. You have a car manufacturing company, and the vision statement is to be in the top 5 by 2025. Now, these are certain activities that the organization wants to do or can do potentially. Now, if you have to really grade these benefits and fit in this 4 quadrant that you have, this is how the benefits realized from those programs will fit in. So you have expansion into new geographies that is going to help the organization grow and potentially be in the top 5 as per their vision statement. And the speculative one, as you see, robotics, artificial intelligence, or solar. These are disruptive technology. This, you do not know for sure whether you're going to succeed. If you are succeed, what is the reward that you're going to have? Well, if you are the first player in the industry with a given technology, definitely it's going to bring a huge reward. But what if a competition is able to launch a product with the same technology before you are able to? You probably might end up scrapping the whole program. The business case may not be valid, or you might not be getting the same reward as you would have if you were the first player in the industry. So if you look at the difficulty level here, a lot of people do question, why is the difficulty level higher in the strategic? It should probably be higher in speculative. Now, do understand that this vision statement, and most of the organization have a vision which spans from 3 to 4 to 5 to 10 years. A lot of things could change. The macroeconomic situations could change. The geopolitical influences can change. So in this example, if you are expanding into new geographies, into new territories, there could be a situation where you are just not able to do business there. The whole investment might be scrapped, and you might have to just exit from that industry. I have seen couple of big multinational industry who have exited from Russia and China because they couldn't just align their business culture or their organization culture with the culture that was prevailing in those countries. So that's the reason that it's a long horizon. You have certain assumptions today which may not be true after a couple of 3 years. So strategic benefits are usually having high difficulty level, and speculative are more in your control. So it's although you have competition which might be earlier than you, but you still have more research type and more under your control. So this is how, and this is very useful, and this is one of the best tools that the management can use in terms of prioritizing the investment into which area they want to invest and the time frame as well. Okay. Now let's come to the actual definition of what is benefit realization management. Now benefit, we saw what does it mean. Realization is of course being aware of something that is achieved. So BRM is a framework, is a closed loop framework. Now there's a bit of history behind this. The benefit management as a discipline was existing since early 90s. So benefit management, a lot of organizations had in certain way a benefit management discipline. However, when more and more projects and programs started to have influence by IT, the complexity increased. So it was not as simple as building a house, or it was not as simple as building a bridge. With the IT influencing and the IT increasing the complexity, this benefit realization, this term was coined by John Ward. We saw the definition earlier also in 1996. And today we are in 2016. So the whole benefit realization concept is just a couple of decades old. Okay. And it was primarily started with realizing benefit out of IS/IT investment projects, but now it is more used generically, though it's still too heavy on the ITIS side of projects. Now, as I said, benefit realization management is a closed loop framework, which is based on the principle of continuous improvement. It is not just about identifying the benefits and measuring the benefits. It's about making sure that you are, as an organization, realizing the benefit, which can span from few months to few years, and optimizing the whole value chain. So when you deliver, when you realize the benefit, we evaluate, we feedback the whole lessons learned, and then improvise our strategy. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there are a lot of models that are existing today in the industry, and it's practically not possible for us to discuss all of them. What I have done is I have taken a model from the OGC, which is the Office of Government of Commerce, UK. OGC had developed a best practices BRM model, and I have modified it a bit, but the influence is still from the OGC's best practice model. We will discuss that model, and that model more or less incorporates all the other models available, but there are few details in each of those other models which, based on which industry you're working or what kind of the organization business line is, makes it relevant. Okay, so as I said, the different flavors of the model that you have, those could be ITI specific projects, those could be for models which are more focused on how the business change management is aligned with your benefit realization management. Some of the models have stress on predictability. So some of the models stress on predicting the benefits even if you are initiating a program for 3 years or 4 years of duration, the focus is to ensure that you have right predictability, so that at the end of 3 or 4 years, irrespective of whether there is a change within or outside the organization, you are still able to have the same benefits. Some of them have more focus on the implementation and delivery of the benefits rather than the predictability part. But we will discuss the generic model and then very briefly discuss the different models that we have. Now, before that, let me have a poll here. Please select whatever is applicable. If you have never heard about this term, you can select the last one. Okay, I'm going to close the poll, and the results are at least 20% of you have worked in the project where you were aware about how it's aligned to the organization's strategy or the organization's vision, and then you have around 50% which falls in 50 to 100, and then around 25. So most of you, I would say only 7% says never heard of it, but most of you are aware of how your projects used to be aligned with the organization's strategy or vision, and that's good. So now let's look at this model. And as I said earlier, again, this is influenced by the OGC generic approach model, but it is not the same. I have modified it a bit. Now, every organization will have a vision. The vision will be more like a blueprint of what the organization wants to achieve. The time horizon could vary based on how aggressive or how non-aggressive the organization's vision is, but it is usually ranging between 3 to say 10 years. Okay. Now this vision should serve as a guidepost for every single investment that we will do in the organization. No single investment in the organization should be such that it is not aligned with the vision of the organization. So this document will serve as a guidepost for the BRM model. Now, benefit management strategy. The benefit management strategy, we will evaluate the current state of the organization. We will baseline the current state of the organization. We will also study the macroeconomic situation that is prevailing here, the external competition, the geopolitical scenario, especially for the countries where the organization is operating in. And then we will try to derive a guideline on how the organization wants to manage their investment in order to achieve the strategic vision. Now, the vision is time bound, so it is time boxed. So the benefit management strategy should also take into consideration the time horizon that the organization has. We also, in the benefit management strategy, we have to consider factors which are beyond the organization's operations boundaries. So factors, as I mentioned earlier, external factors should also play a role in deciding or defining the organization's benefit management strategy. The realization plan, on the other hand, will have a guideline towards how are you going to identify the benefits, who all will be involved, how will you prioritize, how will you map and align your benefits with regards to the organization's vision or the strategy. How frequent are you going to measure the benefits? In which tools are you going to use to measure the benefits? How will you evaluate? How will you report and feedback the whole benefits realized to the management? So that will be more like the benefit realization plan is more part of the project management plan if for that particular project. So you should look at the benefit realization plan as a plan where it will guide the project manager on how the benefit should be realized, measured, identified, prioritized, so on and so forth. And in some of the smaller organizations, you might have the benefit management strategy and the benefit realization plan as one single document. That could also be a possibility. Once we have the plan and the strategy in place, then we start with the benefit identification. Now, benefit identification is an ongoing process, but we still have to start somewhere. The benefit identification based on the realization plan, we will decide who are going to be participating in the benefit prioritization. It's more like a requirement gathering at the project level, and then map it to whether it is aligned to the organization vision or not. Once you have the benefits identified, once you categorize the benefit based on what the relation plan says, in which way you should categorize, then you prioritize the benefits. Now this whole activity is done at the organization level. This benefit identification, benefit prioritization, management strategy and plan is not an activity specific to portfolio or program. It is done at the organization level. We will look at who the stakeholders are in each of the steps. But once the benefits are prioritized, the investment decision is made, then we have to implement the benefits. And we implement benefits at a portfolio level, program, or a project level. Now the PMI says the success criteria for the program is more on the outcome based and project is more on the output based success. But at the end of the day, it's the collection of the project deliverables that constitute the program deliverables. So program or project at the portfolio level, based on how the organization is performing, you implement those benefits. And once the benefits are implemented, you deliver the benefit to the line organization, to the operations organization, or to the stakeholders who are the intended recipient of the benefits. So some of the projects, some of the programs can realize benefit immediately after they are delivered. Some of the projects, some of the programs can have benefits realized after a few months or 6 months or a year, or some may take even longer for the true potential of the benefits to be realized. But the projects or the program cannot run for that long. And that is precisely the reason that once the benefit is the deliverables are transitioned to the line organization, and once the line organization absorbs those benefits, starts working in the new way based on the change delivered, the benefits have to be measured and evaluated at a certain frequency. Where if the project closure report tells that this particular benefit will be relevant or will be measured or will be realized only after 6 months, then the whole benefit realization management framework will should know about it, and then they will evaluate at a certain frequency or a certain duration. But no matter what, it's necessary for us to measure and evaluate and see if did we really realize the benefit as planned, or did we not realize the benefit? What changed? Were the assumptions wrong? Has something changed within the organization which did not help us to realize the benefit? Why did we had a headwind? And there could be a scenario where unexpected benefit, unplanned benefit could have realized. So all this evaluation has to be done, and you need a business realization manager and the team around it to constantly measure and evaluate the benefit, and then feedback to the level where necessary. So if there are certain quick fixes that can be done, maybe you can feed it back to the portfolio or the program level. But if there are certain lessons learned which needs the strategy or the plan to be modified, then that feedback loop has to go to the benefit relation plan or the strategy, and the organization can change it accordingly. Now look at the horizontal on the left hand side. You have enterprise change management and enterprise risk management. Benefit realization management has to work very closely and very closely aligned to the enterprise change management. It is not a project or a portfolio change. It's an enterprise level change management that I'm talking about. Now, if you're not able to identify the risk in the right way, your assumptions might go wrong. You probably might end up in disbenefits, as I showed in one of the examples earlier for the traffic booth or toll booth. So very closely work with the enterprise level risk management and identify scenarios which might impact in negative benefit or disbenefit, and try to eliminate as much as possible. Okay. So this is the whole generic approach to the benefit realization model. And the timeline could vary. It could be, as I said, 3 to 10 years. So a lot of things might change from the time that the benefit has been identified till the time the benefit has actually been delivered. And if those factors are negatively influencing the whole benefit strategy, then that feedback loop has to immediately go there and then try to change the strategy as well as the plan. Now, who are the stakeholders? Now, management, the organization level CXOs will define the organization strategy and vision, and that is approved by the board. So the organization vision, it's only the CXO level and approved by the board. Whereas the benefit realization plan and strategy, you have some representatives from the CXO, but you normally have the business realization manager, business heads, business unit heads from the different line of business. PMO will be involved, and operations head will also be involved, because operations head would be the recipient of the deliveries that will result out from the program or the project. And the implementation is done by the project and the program. So of course it's the PMO in collaboration with the line functions, because you do need line functions to constantly evaluate the progress and then the deliveries, intermediate deliveries if at all, and then the operations. And the assessment of the benefits delivered, it's a line activity. The benefits assessment does not stop when the project is delivered. It is a continuous process, and you need the benefit realization manager and his team or her team, the business heads and the operations head, because business and the operations are the recipients. They will provide the feedback, and the BR manager will evaluate on whether the benefits have been achieved in the right way, what are the factors which influenced, and how to change and optimize. So this in a way has the continuous loop here, and then if necessary through reports, or if there are any major findings, then you need to inform the management or the line management if there is a change required in the vision or in the business realization strategy. Okay, so this were the stakeholders, and now let's come to a topic where most of you probably would be interested, is to how the project manager is involved. Why should a project manager be involved in the benefit realization management? For those who are aware of the recent changes in the PMP exam content outline, there is an enhanced focus on the benefit realization and benefit case, so business case. So you need to understand that the world is shifting towards the traditional approach that the project manager had on having to manage the triple constraints, towards more and more projects are focusing on what benefits they are delivering to the organization. Now, this is the traditional approach that all of us had, including me a few years back. That if you are able to manage your time, your cost, and your scope balanced by quality, then your project is successful. But this is no longer the case. Now, what more and more people are now talking about is a parallel balance, where you are balancing between scope and schedule in parallel with budget and benefit, or you are balancing budget and scope in parallel with schedule and benefit. So benefit definitely is playing more important role now for the project success, and that means that the project manager should be conscious about what the project benefits are going to be delivered, and how they are going to be measured, and how it will contribute to the organization success. Now, I like this diagram which I'm going to show you. This was published in a white paper in HRBC journal. That was in Dubai, I think, in 2014. And this is a very beautiful diagram, and I'm really liking this diagram because it tells you exactly which are the areas where you as a project manager could contribute from initiation till closing towards the whole BRM. Okay, so the box which you see in the green are the processes that are additionally listed here from the traditional approach that we have. In the initiation, What the project manager should do, bare minimum, is to validate whether your project will be able to deliver the benefits that are expected. Validate what are the dependencies your project will have towards other projects for you to fully realize the benefit that you're going to deliver. So validation of the benefit, dependency on other project or program should be the task that the project manager should do during the initiation, and the project manager should create a review benefit register. Now, the review benefit register could be a subset, or rather should be a subset of the organization-wide benefit register. If time permits, I'm going to show you the benefit traceability as well. So the validation of the benefits and benefit measure is a process, and the key output from the initiation phase would be a benefit register. Now, benefit register will serve as an input to the planning phase, where the project manager has to create a benefit realization plan. It could be a subsidiary plan of your project management plan or of your PMP. In the benefit realization plan, essential things that you need to understand is how are you going to monitor and control the benefit, at what frequency will you control and monitor the benefit, how are you going to measure the benefit, how will you demonstrate or report the benefits that you're going to achieve. So it's a guidelines that you'll have around benefit, just like you have around your stakeholders and communication management and so on and so forth. So this is a key deliverable that you will have as an input, the benefit realization, as an output, the benefit realization plan. And then you execute the project, and during the monitoring and control, you measure the benefit. Why do you really need to measure? There could be certain intermediate deliverables that your project, if it's a big project or a program, so you need to measure those. You also need to measure whether any assumption has changed, any factors that are positively or negatively influencing the ability of your project to deliver or to realize those benefits. So that's monitoring and controlling. And at the end, the closing phase, you are going to evaluate, you're going to measure your benefits, and then report and demonstrate. Now, this is a very critical phase. I mentioned this to this earlier, that not all benefits will be realized immediately after the deliverables, final deliverable of the project. So what should a project manager do? Project manager in the closure report should have a clear indication of these are the benefits which I have measured. These are the benefits which will be realized subject to other projects been delivered or subject to the line organization starting to use my product or my services. And these are the expected benefit over the X number of months or years. So the closure report is critical because that will feed into the BRM, the benefit realization manager, and then the manager will know that the deliverables from this project will start showing positive impact from the 6th month of the delivery or from the 12th month of the delivery. And these are the dependencies. So you as a project manager will be able, if someone is going to question you down the line that your project was supposed to deliver these benefits, but we never saw it, we never realized those benefits, then you can clearly say that, look at the closure report. This is what I had mentioned. Now, have you checked other projects have delivered their part? Have you checked, is the operations using the product in the right way? So you will be in a better position to contribute towards the organization-wide benefit realization management. And then the post-implementation phase. This is outside the scope of the project manager because it is a line activity, is a line organization to have a sustainability towards the benefits, to transition the benefits in the operations and ensure that the benefits are continuously evaluated, monitored, and reported. Okay, so this is the role of the project manager, and please realize that if someone tells you project manager should not be worried about benefit realization method, this is wrong. More and more organizations are becoming sensitive towards the return that they are getting for every dollar spent. If you are not, as a project manager, conscious about the benefits that are going to be achieved as a result of your project, it is really a bad situation. So do understand you as a project manager has to contribute within the project boundaries, of course, but you can definitely contribute to the benefit realization management. Now let's look at the benefit traceability. So I mentioned there is a benefit register plan. It could be organization wide benefit realization plan, and then you have benefit IDs. For every ID, you might have a risk associated. You could have an owner of ID or owner of a program or whatever. And then you have projects who will be implementing those benefits. And then the final phase is evaluation. Now let's take an example. For benefit 3, you have project 1, and for benefit 7, you have program 1's project 3, who will be delivering those benefits. And during the evaluation phase, you realize that benefit 1 we have achieved, we have realized benefit exactly as what it was planned, but for benefit 7 there were certain factors we are not able to achieve what we wanted for the benefit 7. So then you have to feed back into the benefit register plan. Either you say you tick mark benefit 1 and then you rephrase benefit 7, or the feedback loop can go beyond this and you might want to change your strategy or realization plan. This is at an organization level, the picture that I'm showing, but at an individual project level, you can have a subset of your register and then just have the benefits ID which your project is going to deliver and keep track of it, just like you have a requirement traceability matrix. And then the final slide, I mentioned this to you. There are several models that are in existence today, and every single model is based on the continuous feedback. It's a closed loop framework. So we have the PDCA principle for every single model, which is plan, do, check, and act. Now there's an active benefit management which was developed by Latin in 1995, where the focus is more on how do you work closely with the change management. So how does the benefit management works very closely with the change management, which means that while you are realizing your benefit, if something has changed, how do you change your own benefit management plan? Crenfield process model of benefit, it was focusing primarily on projects resulting out of ITIS investment. It focuses on external as well as internal influences during the duration when the benefit is realized. So the focus was more on check and act. Thorpe in 1998 had a business benefit or benefit realization approach. The focus was on predictability and consistency. So the focus was that when you are identifying the benefits, you should have a fairly good amount of predictability, which means that when you're identifying the benefit, you should realize those benefits at the end of the project or the program. Active benefit realization, Sherwood, Smith, and Remnil, 1998, based on, again, continuous evaluation. So it's more focused on check and act. It also is a very interesting concept here, which Remnil and Sherwood Smith has brought in, is a dynamic role change of the stakeholders involved. So during the whole phase-wise benefit realization, the stakeholders' role should and can dynamically change. So a sponsor at the start of the program or the project may also play a different role when the benefits are implemented or evaluated. In this model, you set the course, you have a formative evaluation moving forward, but this is 3-stage, again based on PDCA. And then there's a best practices to benefit management, a very recent model in 2003, which has done exclusive research on different models and incorporated the best practices. This is not the same model, the OGC model that we discussed. But in this model, again, the primary focus is on IT related, but it can also be used as a generic model. So to sum up, any model, no matter which model your organization is using, the basic principle is plan, do, check, and act. And the basic principle is that you need to be conscious about what benefit your project is going to deliver at the organization level. So please again, I'm saying this as a project manager, be conscious about the business case, about what benefits your organization, your project is going to contribute to the organization. Do not stretch yourself beyond the boundaries of the project. So as soon as your project is complete, measure whatever you can. If there is a dependency, if there is a time horizon left, ensure that is reflected in your project closure report. And before I end the webinar, I would also want to have couple of more. A lot of you are using Scrum and quite a few Kanban. That's good. Closing this poll and then the last poll for the day. Well, most of you, as I see, have got some valuable learning, and I hope we had longer duration for me to discuss each of these models in depth, but of course we only have 1 hour. Thank you all again for joining, and have a nice day, nice evening from wherever you have logged in. Thank you again.